President's team is looking to strike a deal with Iran, which I think is damaging our whole relationship with Israel and upsetting the Abraham Accords. But let's bring in former Director of National Intelligence and Chairman now of the Center for American Security, America First Policy Institute. John, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Larry, good to be with you.
You are the expert. I just do not understand. Why is it that we want to pursue a new deal with Iran? Can you explain to me what is that about?
I really can't, Larry, because what I can tell you as the Director of National Intelligence, on the way out the door, we told the Biden administration, look, there's no intelligence that supports going back into a deal, an Iranian nuclear deal with Iran. Iran is, the intelligence tells us, poorer, weaker, and less influential than they've been in the last 20 years. So there was really no basis for it. And we warned the Biden administration that this would happen. It's funny, Larry, if I were writing a book on how not to make policy decisions, chapter 1 would have been the Biden administration's decision to reverse policies at our southern border that created a national security crisis there. And chapter 2 would be how to destroy peace in the Middle East, because that's what we're playing with here with emboldening Iran and in turn what we've seen with the Palestinians over the last few days. As you know, Larry, the Trump administration stopped aid to the Palestinians under the Taylor Force Act. The Biden administration reversed that last month. So it's not a coincidence that now we see, rockets being lobbed into Israel, our greatest ally, and we see the Biden administration waffling on who to support.
So, John Ratcliffe, let me get this right. We're going to make a deal with Iran, which of course they're going to lie, cheat, and steal. They always do. But part of that deal is going to be not only letting them sell oil again and getting lots of money, we'll probably give them cash. They're going to use those funds, or I'll pose this as a question. Won't they use those funds to equip their terrorist client states, Hamas and Hezbollah, to throw every military weapon at Israel? Isn't that just as day follows night?
Absolutely. That's what they've done. That's what they will do. We know that. They've pretty much said that. And we know that really what's happening right now is that because the Biden administration, is trying to drag them to the negotiating table, they're using that to their advantage. To your earlier point, Larry, it's almost like the Biden administration's trying so hard to prove the Trump policies in the Middle East wrong that they're proving them to be right. Iran took $100 billion in cash and they funded Hezbollah and Hamas and militias to conduct mayhem in the Middle East. And it took us 4 years to undo that and to ultimately resulted in the Abraham Accords and relative peace in the Middle East for the first time. Why you would reverse course and as you see, within just a few weeks, bring about what's happening in the Middle East really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, all this Middle East violence and so forth is destabilizing it. It's very bad for financial markets. This is not an isolated event, and it's going to be bad for economies. And, John, I want to have you come back as soon as possible because Russia doesn't get a free pass on any of this stuff. That's my other thing. Russia does not get a free pass on the cyber hacking or the Iranian story or the Hamas and Hezbollah and Syria, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, John Ratcliffe, thank you.
Russia, China, Iran, none of them should get a free pass, but they're all testing this administration.
That's
so
right.
we'll have a lot to talk about going forward.
Soon, next week, hopefully. Thank you, John Ratcliffe. We appreciate it very much.